Hey everybody, how you doing? This is Jason Root, and today we're going to be doing an article review. I'm going to be doing it on a Found My Fitness article, which is from a lady who I like a lot. Her name is Rhonda Patrick. She's a microbiologist, and she actually was looking over a study on sauna and the physiological effects of sauna and what the effects on fitness and health were. And really, and this is a very, she gets a tendency to get really intense. So basically, I'm just going to review it and summarize some of the main points in order to deliver it for what we need. So, and what we need is, so basically, this series is on cardiovascular and whole body systemic conditioning without exercise, or what I call passive conditioning, meaning that you're going to use something outside yourself that does not require effort past in order to drive yourself into exercise or something like that. So this is movement less conditioning. So why would we need to do that? Well, there's a lot of people out there that might have mechanical issues. You might have a hip issue, a back issue, a knee issue, an ankle issue. That doesn't mean that you can't do something to condition yourself and to get the benefits of conditioning, even though you can't move really well. And athletes might use some of these techniques in order to be able to continue conditioning when they don't want to risk overtraining. So you can get conditioning without the load on the joints or overtraining. Um, the same things that might cause overtraining. So anyways, so getting on with it. So Rhonda Patrick's article on sauna and what she was doing. Well, let's look into the article itself here. So introduction. Sauna is an ancient practice used in Russia, sweat lodges in American Indians, and the saunas of Finland, especially. Exposure is the increase in the body's core temperature, and you get a thermoregulatory response involving neuroendocrine, cardiovascular, and cytoprotective mechanisms that work together to restore homeostasis and condition the body for future heat stressors. So these are the findings from studies of participants in the Quopio ischemic heart disease risk factor study. So I'll try to leave out all the stuff. We'll try to cut it down to the bare bones. Like I said, Rhonda Patrick, I love her, but she does get a little bit deep into. I try to leave it to what the very applicable information is. So this study was an ongoing prospective population-based cohort study. Uh, Again, that's a little bit deep. Health outcomes in more than 2,300 middle-aged men from eastern Finland, which identified strong links between sauna use and reduced death and disease. Findings showed that men who use sauna 2 to 3 times per week were 27% less likely to die from cardiovascular related causes than men who didn't use sauna. Furthermore, the benefits they experienced were found to be dose dependent, meaning the men who use the sauna twice as often, about 4 to 7 times per week experienced roughly twice the benefits and were 50% less likely to die from cardiovascular related causes. Frequent sauna users were found to be 40% likely to die from all causes of premature death. So not just cardiovascular, but all causes. This study also revealed that frequent sauna use reduced the risk of developing dementia and Alzheimer's disease in a dose-dependent manner. Men who use the sauna 2 to 3 times per week had a 66% lower risk of developing dementia and a 65% lower risk of developing Alzheimer's disease as compared to men who use the sauna only one time per week. One thing that I'll put in is one question I had while looking over this is, well, is that compared to men who also didn't do cardiovascular conditioning, because cardiovascular conditioning also raises the core body temperature, meaning that you might get similar effects, and we see that maybe later on in the study. The health benefits associated with sauna use extended to other aspects of mental health as well. Men participating in the study who used the sauna 4 to 7 times per week were 77% less likely to develop psychotic disorders, regardless of the men's dietary habits, socioeconomic status, physical activity, and inflammatory status. Notice that they did mention physical activity, so that might answer my question from just before. All right, heat sources. I had this kind of question. This is actually why I looked this up in the first place, because heat source is a good question. You know, do we get the same thing from like infrared saunas, stuff like that? So what it says here is most modern saunas are conventional electric heaters or infrared heaters. Conventional heaters warm the air to a high temperature ranging from 158, we're in the States, so we're going on imperial measurements, 158 degrees Fahrenheit to 212 degrees Fahrenheit, optimally at 176 degrees Fahrenheit to 194 degrees Fahrenheit at the level of the user's face. So, you know, might be hotter at the floor than the face. Actually, be the opposite. Hotter at the face than the floor. Hot air rises. All right, infrared heaters emit thermal radiation, which heats the body directly while also warming the surrounding air. They operate at lower temperatures than traditional saunas, meaning 113 degrees Fahrenheit to 140. So if you're in an infrared sauna, then you can expect the same effects, looking at this, from the 140 degrees as we could from around 180 degrees in the conventional sauna. Let's see, humidity. Saunas can be either dry or wet, and a wet sauna may feel subjectively hotter than a dry sauna and is harder on the cardiovascular system due to the reduced evaporative cooling. So you might get a little bit more out of the steam room than the sauna. That's all I'm saying. Duration and temperature, 1 to 3 sessions of heat exposure lasting 5 to 20 minutes each, interspersed with periods of cooling. Sauna poses a little risk of cardiovascular complications in healthy people. The studies found that a dose-dependent reduction in cardiovascular-related mortality, all-cause mortality, and Alzheimer's disease incidence typically involved saunas that were heated to a temperature of at least 174 degrees Fahrenheit for at least 20 minutes. So there's your dose. You want to go for about 20 to 30 minutes at about 170 to 180 degrees at least. Then longer duration of 19 minutes or more having a more robust effect than 11 to 18 minutes on lowering mortality. So there's, again, it's just repeating 19 or 20 minutes or more is where you start to get that really good effect. Physiological response to heat stress. Exposure to high temperature stresses the body, eliciting a rapid heat response. Skin and core body temperature increase markedly, and sweating ensues. We get all of that. All right, so cardiac output. You know what? I'm going to kind of skip through this part where it talks about, I think we're going to look, sorry, I just covered that with the paper that I'm looking at. So I think I'm going to skip the mechanisms and just go to the effects here, because that's really what we're looking for, right? We just want to see what we get out of it. Molecular mechanisms, that's for the nerds. So let's get through that. Heat shock proteins, those again for the nerds. Let's go through that. Mitochondrial function, that's a really good mechanism to know. Again, for the nerds. My By the nerds, I mean like people like me. All right, proteins, interleukins, cardiovascular health. So the effect of a single 25-minute sauna session were comparable to moderate physical exercise with respect to cardiovascular measures. Participants' blood pressure and heart rate began to drop below baseline levels measured pre-sauna or exercise. And we get improved blood pressure, endothelial function. Endothelial means, those tissues on the inside of your body, and left ventricular function and reduced inflammation. Those are all great things for cardiovascular function. Yay. Cardiovascular disease. World Health Organization estimates that 18 million people die each year from cardiovascular disease. That is roughly 1/3 of all deaths worldwide. Cardiovascular disease is the leading cause of death worldwide, and especially here in America, where we have a lot of people who are in horrible shape. Let's see. As described above. So the Finland studies compared men who never used a sauna, moderate sauna users, which were 2 to 3 times per week, are 27% less likely to die from cardiovascular related diseases, and frequent users are 4 to 7, which is 4 to 7 times per week, are 50% less likely to die from cardiovascular related diseases than non-sauna users. So we can see that very, very good effect of sauna use as opposed to those people who don't use sauna. So we're showing that it's a really good modality for people who, for some reason, are unable to perform cardiovascular or general conditioning exercise work. So that's what we're showing here so far. Looks excellent in that. Most of what we're seeing here, let's see, culmination of all forms of cardiovascular disease, congestive heart failure, that's affected in the same way. Coronary artery disease, reduced blood supply to the heart, that's ischemic artery disease, most common cause of death in most Western countries. That's affected. Again, sorry about that. That's affected greatly. I mean, improve the patient's vascular endothelial function. That means, remember when we say cardiovascular disease, I mean cardio, the heart, vascular, the blood vessels that have to return the blood to the heart. They, they have a lot of problems that we're trying to improve as well. So not just heart function, vascular function as well. Let's see, dyslipidemia, which is blood lipid levels. Those, so reduced blood cholesterol, that is affected. Good. Hypertension is affected positively. Good. Inflammation affected positively. Cognitive and mental health affected positively. And these are dose-dependent related ways, and so there is a prescriptive methodology that can be applied to this. So doing it on your own is amazing. Doing it with a trainer or a conditioning coach is very amazing. So these are things to do. Growth hormone. I love this. This says 16-fold increase in growth hormone levels by the 3rd day of doing 176-degree dry heat sauna for 20 minutes or more. So hormone levels, excellent. So do that. Performance improvement on red blood cell, increased plasma volume of red blood cell count. So that's awesome. Or just if you live in Arizona, go sit in your car for a little while. Use your oven mitt. May reduce the amount of protein degradation that we see. So this is just more mechanism things. It mentioned toxins and stuff like that because of the sweat factor may reduce that. It's hard to measure that. So conceptually that seems like an obvious thing, but that's really something that is hard to measure. So, in this study, they said may reduce that. They do mention here hydration and electrolytes. This is kind of obvious. Like, yeah, get a lot of electrolytes and water because you're going to lose a lot. So keep it safe there, folks. Anyway, so over at the studio in Santa Monica, we do have a dry sauna. It's infrared dry sauna. So please contact me if you live in the area and like to go do sessions on that over there, especially if you are averse for some reason, whether that's physiologically or just you don't like it for cardiovascular activity, those types of things. Anyway, thanks for listening today for 15 minutes, and I hope to talk to you soon. Thanks a lot, folks.